Welcome back to Mixtape, my 4-part series about how cassette tapes changed the world. I've been listening to music exclusively on cassettes and collecting stories about tapes, trying to figure out why they're seeing a comeback. What I've found is mind-blowing. New technologies are just first drafts. What we actually do with them is the real story.
Think about that.
It's unnoticeable.
Today, I have 2 stories that push this idea in opposite directions. One shows how an art form built on cassettes settled into something simpler. The other shows how the same magnetic particles that captured reality ended up breaking it. Cassette sales are at a 20-year high, but don't call it a comeback. We live in a world reshaped by how we chose to use magnetic tape.
Playing a tape as simple as or even easier than playing a record.
It's the second week of my month-long deep dive into cassette tapes, and I've been busy, mostly making mixtapes. In addition to the stories I'm collecting, I wanted to remember how it feels to use a cassette player. So I've been listening to music exclusively on tape and now making tapes for myself. The last time I did this, I was a kid, pretending I was hosting my own radio show. I'd record an intro welcoming everyone to my show, play my favorite songs, make jokes. I was just doing what I'd heard on the radio. The difference was my tapes were pre-recorded and real radio was live. Right? This all has me thinking about what music even is in the first place. Sound is nothing more than waves of air moving from point A to point B. But music is more than just sound. The musician starts with an idea, distills it down to a chord on the piano or a phrase sung just the right way, and that small package, that music, travels to the listener's ears for them to unpack. It's a pure transmission of feeling. It's fundamentally human, but it's still just airwaves, still bound by the same rules of time and space. The music evaporates as soon as it's played. This is why recorded music feels so special. It sits in the middle, taking this complex, intangible thing, the airwaves, the emotional transmissions, and locking them in time and space, bending the rules of reality just a little bit. It's like visiting the beach and being able to bottle waves. Last week, we looked at the origin of the hip-hop mixtape. DJs taping their live sets, copying and distributing cassettes themselves. Some DJs began to pre-mix their sets, allowing for cleaner audio and layering things in ways you couldn't do live. Slowly, these tapes began to change, moving past documentation of sound waves and into something new. To better understand how the hip-hop mixtape continued to evolve, I sat down with one of the most creative DJs in mixtape history.
What's up? My name is DJ Green Lantern. I'm a DJ, producer. You might know me from the mixtapes, which is why I'm sitting here talking to my boy.
DJ Green Lantern has worked with artists like Nas, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Ludacris, Dead Prez, and more. And through the late 90s and 2000s became well known for his incredibly complex and creative brand of mixtapes.
You have improved considerably. You've advanced far with the 5 styles and the steel fingers. I want to see all your force. Green Lantern. Rookie of the year. I'm on now. Big threat to a lot of you DJs.
Green explained how mixtapes evolved from tapes of live parties into blend tapes, with DJs mixing multiple songs together. Shortly after hearing blend tapes, Green Lantern decided to start making his own mixtapes.
I got the bug to want to make something. You know, I wanted to have like a calling card. I wanted to be able to give people something that was like, all right, let me give you an experience when you're driving around. This is not exactly what I'm going to do when you come to the club, because I understand what's happening in that space as well, right? But I'm going to give you something to listen to, right? Something that's like an experience.
Green Lantern, like many mixtape DJs in this era, made his tapes by utilizing a 4-track tape recorder. Each side of a cassette tape is in stereo, which means you have 2 separate tracks, but by using both sides of the tape simultaneously, you can layer 4 tracks together. What's more, by essentially printing 4 tracks onto one, you could layer in even more sound, creatively manipulating everything in ways that you just couldn't do live. It's like capturing multiple ocean waves in one bottle from different beaches. And while this technology had existed long before in professional recording studios or samplers like the Akai MPC, the affordability of 4-track recorders meant more DJs could continue to push mixtapes into an evolved art form, beyond what the original creators could have foreseen, bending reality a little bit further. Mixtapes became so popular that DJs would sell directly to stores, and rappers took notice. While DJs like Clue obtained unreleased tracks unofficially, artists started providing exclusive songs to DJs for their mixtapes months ahead of official releases.
But it was with our heads, because we come from a place of, this is what we're going to do on our tape. I'm going to take this acapella and put it with this. And then here comes XYZ. We're running to the store to get this guy's new tape because the new Biggie song made his shit important. I don't have the new Biggie song. So what do I do? Oh, well, you better stand on your head on them joints. You better do something crazy. Right, so it just made us, guys like me, dig in deeper.
DJ Green Lantern is passionate about the art form of the mixtape, one that started with capturing reality and evolved into bending it as a form of creative expression. But the landscape shifted again, beyond what a mixtape originated as, into something else. Rappers began releasing their own street tapes, bootleggers cut into DJ sales through copying and online distribution, and in 2007, the arrest of DJ Drama marked a turning point for the mixtape scene. Now, of course, the definition of a mixtape has changed.
They will literally look you in the face, a record executive in 2025, and say, this is XYZ's new mixtape. And it's literally just an album. But they don't want to call it a real album because there's too much pressure that goes with that. They want to say, well, this is his mixtape, which is a practice album. Think about that. There are lists of people that will say, what's the greatest mixtape of all time? And it's nothing but rapper names. No DJ at all. Now, call me bedwetter. I'm just telling you where it went.
DJs like Green Lantern elevated the mixtape to its own art form, bending reality in the process. But even if most people now consider mixtapes to be practice albums, he sees it differently.
My definition of a mixtape is a bunch of shit being mixed together.
The story of the hip-hop mixtape reflects a pattern in technology. How its original purpose can be transformed by the people who use it. While DJs like Green Lantern pushed the creative boundaries of what a mixtape could be, it was ultimately stripped down to something much simpler. But this wasn't even the first time magnetic tape's function had been changed by its users. To understand how deep this goes, I sat down with Simon again to explore another pivotal moment in music history.
Okay, so this story is really the tale of how the original celebrity influencer and one audio technician together broke reality. Name a celebrity. Give me a celebrity or two.
You got Beyonce.
Of course.
Maybe, George Clooney or...
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Huge.
Okay, take those names.
Yeah.
Draw a big circle around them. Draw a smiley face in that circle, and you now have one man. And that man in the 1930s went by the name of Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby was the most famous human being on the planet. He covered all media from film to music to radio. If you turned on any radio in America at any given moment to any given station, there was something like a 50% chance Bing's voice would be coming out. If you thought of a celebrity in the 30s, you thought Bing Crosby. Now, as he's big, powerful, everywhere all the time, what does he start to get? But he starts to get tired. Biggest thing he's tired of is having to do this weekly live radio show. It's called the Kraft Music Hall, and something like a third of America tuned into it every Friday, Saturday night.
The Kraft Music Hall with John Scott Trotter as orchestra and chorus, the Charioteers, the magic piano fingers of radio Eddie Duchin, that bubbling boulevardier Frank Morgan, and back from a well-earned vacation, Leo McCarey's ace in the hole, Bing AWOL Crosby.
AWOL, what's this AWOL? Thank you.
But, doing a live show every week is very stressful. Things can go wrong. He, of course, is trying to maintain his image somehow. And he also wants to be able to spend more time with his family, so he just doesn't want to have to do this live anymore. Problem was, everything is live at this point.
They knocked their two heads together and they bumped out the following ditty. Did you hear? Give me that again, John. I was over at the other mic. I was very busy over there with Frank. Every time you're near a road, aren't you glad to have to put me on a wire? And if the dawn is fresh with dew, aren't you glad you knew?
Anything going over the radio is pretty much live because the transcription discs, like the early vinyl discs, just don't sound that good. There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of static. If you broadcast that over the radio airwaves with the added static and noise of FM AM transmission, it just becomes very hard to hear the music, very hard to feel connected to the performers, and so very little is being sort of pre-recorded and sent out over the airwaves. Bing Crosby says, I am a pioneer, I will change this. We are going to pre-record this show and we are going to send it out over the airwaves. And the executives at NBC say, no, Bing, you are not going to do that. And so what does Bing say? But fine, I will take my talents and go elsewhere. So Bing up and leaves NBC and joins this small little media startup called ABC. They were just starting out, they had a radio show, and he basically reboots the Kraft Music Hall. Now is the Philco Radio Hour on ABC. The exact same show, exact same format. The only difference is ABC was like, sure, Bing, go ahead. You can pre-record your shows onto transcription disc. We'll broadcast those. Everything's going to be great. However, they start doing this, and the very thing that NBC feared would happen begins to happen.
Can't we simply pass the time of day? Do you have to smile at me that way? My heart goes crazy. It goes bump, bump.
The audience starts to drop off. People are not into the new show, and in sort of Consumer Reports, the Nielsen ratings of the time, people are reporting it just doesn't sound like Bing.
My doctor told me this has got to stop.
Something's off.
He never heard a beat like hippity hop.
It is not looking good for our friend Bing. Perhaps his best days are behind him, and Philco's driving into the ground. However, at the very time that this is happening, America is fighting off the Germans in World War II, and a guy by the name of Jack Mullen is with the Allies, sort of slowly working his way across Europe.
Jack Mullen was an audio engineer and a member of the Signal Corps. When the Allies would retake a European city, Jack and his squad would search for electronics that the Germans had left behind. One day he was called into a radio station and told there was a tape machine he should check out. This was strange because at the time, reel-to-reel tapes sounded worse than transcription discs.
So he has very low expectations as he heads to this radio station. However, he gets there and he's like, yeah, I hear you have this reel-to-reel player that supposedly sounds good. Can I take a look at it? And the sergeant, or who's ever there, rolls in this giant reel-to-reel player, says, yeah, here it is, it's called a magnetophone, puts on some tape, hits play, and Jack says it is as if the orchestra is right there. Full sound, full frequency range, big, loud, no crackle, no hiss. What he had discovered was that the Germans had in fact sort of perfected magnetic recording technologies. All across the globe, different people were playing around with this technology, and they took all of these different small discoveries, put them in one box, and created the magnetophone, which was truly unlike any sound recording device that had existed up until that point.
Jack Mullen managed to bring 2 of these tape machines back to the United States, and after making a few modifications, hosted a showcase to demonstrate the new technology. And in the crowd that day was Bing Crosby's manager.
From that moment forward, everything that Bing did for Philco Radio Hour was pre-recorded on this magnetic tape. It sort of allowed him for the first time to have both the freedom that he wanted and the fidelity that he wanted.
If you think candy's sweet, there's a girl you ought to meet. Sugar drips from her lips when she sighs.
But he doesn't stop there, because suddenly it's not just like we have to perform this thing and get a great take that we record onto tape. He's like, well, if this joke flubs, we can cut it. The lead trumpet ends flat, we can just retake the last 6 bars and start splicing this stuff. And so with Jack Mullen as sort of the technician and the audio engineer, they start inventing sound design, literally taking and snipping things like this and that and the other. And before long, these performances that are going out over the air as if they were live recordings are these completely Frankensteined creations that are the, quote, perfect live performance.
Simon explained how Jack Mullen was excited about this tape technology because he could capture reality in high fidelity. But as they continued to experiment, Bing Crosby became excited by the possibility of finally getting the perfect take.
One of the quintessential examples is like the laugh track. Didn't exist before Jack and Bing. And they would tell jokes, and they would just snip out the laughter, put those into a catalog, and then anytime they needed to sort of juice the audience in the recording, they'd grab one of those laughs, laugh number 6, throw it in there, splice it in, everything seems uproarious. The laugh track is born in this moment.
Wow.
Upper Peabody Technological College.
Named after that great American Peabody J. Upper, the inventor of the upper plate, the upper berth, and the upper hand.
Oh, you heard of him, huh?
I use all his stuff.
Yeah.
Heard of him.
And now, granted, like a lot of these editing techniques were developed in film long before this. In film, you see a jump cut.
Yes.
You know that there's a perspective shift and you're aware of the editing process that's occurring in front of you. With sound,
Yeah.
it's all invisible, and when it's not mentioned, it's unnoticeable.
Yeah.
My take is that in this attempt to free himself from the sort of constraints of a busy media businessman, Bing began to sort of put a small crack in reality. Media suddenly stopped being documentation and began to be curation or collage. And I think you can draw a pretty straight line from that moment right there, where he's taking magnetic tape and making things seem funnier than they were, through to cassette tapes where people are beginning to mix and match sounds and create beats and create sort of sound collages that way, to where everything, all media today is collaged, both in the way that we consume it, in that we're selecting what we're consuming, into the way that TikTok is re-edits of re-edits of re-edits, to the fact that like today, particularly with generative AI, we're taking unimaginably large amounts of media, throwing them into a black box and having it spit back out to us some creatively recombined content that is indecipherably fake.
This crack in reality has reached a full circle moment. In January of 2025, rapper Lupe Fiasco announced that he's working on a new project called Endless Loop, a 24-hour AI-powered FM radio station that generates unique songs in his style each playing just once before vanishing forever. This AI FM radio station will be trained on his music, his writing and rapping abilities, and the voice will sound just like him. This all started with Jack Moen's dream of capturing reality in high fidelity. But we've moved far beyond Bing Crosby's editing and Mixtapes' curation. Now we're using technology for pure fabrication. We're no longer preserving fleeting moments. Instead, with projects like Lupe's AI radio station, we're deliberately generating ephemeral content that's designed to vanish. It's like we've gone from bottling ocean waves to pouring Mountain Dew Code Red back into the sea. A complete reversal of creativity and preservation. This is deeply ironic considering Bing Crosby and Lupe Fiasco are both using technology to transmit a version of themselves over terrestrial radio. Lupe's project is a glimpse into the future, where the lines between preservation and creation, between documentation and fabrication, continue to blur. It's the latest chapter in our relationship with reality, where technology that once helped us bottle moments is now helping us manufacture them. Today, we spend a third of our waking lives on the internet, constantly navigating what's real. Even this video you're watching now raises the question: would raw, unedited footage or uncompressed voiceover be more true? Or does thoughtful editing better convey the message and feeling I'm trying to transmit? And this tension that began with Jack and Bing, today we're all caught between these two impulses, making metaphorical mixtapes of ourselves. Carefully choosing which moments to capture, which photos to polish and share, which version to broadcast into the world, searching for what best represents you. You know, you. This complex, intangible thing that you're trying to lock in time and space before drifting back into the ocean. Maybe that's what technology really is. Not just tools for capturing or crafting moments, but machines we use in an attempt to preserve our humanity. Helping us bridge the gap between who we actually are now and how we want to be remembered. Maybe that's why cassette tapes are coming back. In a world of infinite possibilities, there's something special about holding onto 30 minutes of you, bottled in magnetic tape.